Okay, back. Young fella Tim come to drop the dog off for the day. Okay, so we're going to start putting this carb back together again, and on the bottom here there's a couple of things we can do. Now that's a brand new siphon seat, and that's the old siphon seat, one of the older ones, and if you remember that one come out, so I need to take that up to Bundy Bear shed up the front and sort that out a little bit. So I suppose a place to start would be drop this siphon seat in, and they sit in that housing there. Now there's a small machine surface there, and there's a small machine surface here, and they seal off against each other. So it used to have a fibre washer there, but look, I don't do the fibre washer thing with them normally. I just get a little bit of, there's R51, Loctite 515. Bearco's selling R51 product, and it's the same, does the same job as far as I can tell, and it's half the price, so it's good stuff. So I like to just put a little bit of that on. Just on that flat surface mainly. It doesn't really have to be on the piece going up into the housing. And we can pop that. It's got to come back out the hole here first, back in there, and take the time to get the right spanner. God, it's hard to get good out there. And there's a little, now you see down the bottom there, down in here, there's a little space there. There's the same on this side. I suppose I could show you, it won't have set yet. See down there, so that makes sure this doesn't turn when you're doing up the outside nut. So I usually try and have it not touching them, just sitting in the middle. And usually the sides, the sides on the siphon seats here are straight up and down. And then this nut here, the nut that holds that in, it sits up over there to hold them in. And I believe they had a little washer originally as well, but just to stop them leaking, we'll just put a tad of, oh shit. A tad of 515 in there as well. And on the thread here, so the thread, so it doesn't leak around the outside of the thread. And you don't need much of this stuff, it just seals really well. Beats having thread tape hanging out anyway, so we'll bring that in. I did bead blast some of these brass things to keep them clean. Okay, so we hold this one straight up and down if we can, or so it's straight in the middle there. And then we had a 5/8 ring spanner here, so if we and that won't leak. Now the siphon seat would be 1/4 of an inch off the bottom, so hopefully we don't suck any fuel, any rubbish in. And this pipe here, where the fuel comes up, it comes up in there, it comes up in this little dam wall there, it goes over the dam wall and drops back down into sump and returns back down into the tank. So we have to do the same thing. Oh shit, the cap's dropped. You know it's one of my videos when shit drops on the floor everywhere, don't you? So that'll look after that bit. Exact same story. Back in there. Bloody good work, Lance. God, you're a goer. Yep. Okay, a little bit in here. Just to stop any... And the fuel shouldn't get high enough to leak here, but I don't know. Probably do too much bullshit with it. You can hear the shed creaking. Must be either a cloud come over outside or the cloud disappeared outside and the sun's making the shed creak again. So once again we need to hold this one straight. About, yep, that looks good. And nip this up. The benefit of this stuff over like a silicon based stuff is with this stuff, any leftover doesn't form a bead that can be drawn into the engine or anything like that. It just dissipates. And so I'll just wipe off any excess around the outside here. And that's just looking bloody lovely. Okay, now this plate here, now the little screws that goes right through, they go right through into the carb. So when we look at the top cover here, the threaded one goes on this side. So we know that's this bloke here. And the other one goes there. So once again, we'll just seal these threads up. And look, it's just so they don't rattle out and they're just sealed up, you know, they don't shake out on you. They probably wouldn't anyway, but that's just too bad, eh? That's just what I'm doing. So if we hold that fella there, and that'll sit back there nicely, yep, that's good. Also this gasket stuff, it does not go off until you take the air away. So you can leave that tube open there, nothing will happen, like it'll be fine. That's nice and free. Now imagine that will go under and over. Let's just see if that's a sensible thing. No, it'll probably sneak in there, I'd say. That's okay. Then this one can go under that fella there. Yep, that's all good. So I'll clean this screwdriver. They put all that shit on that screwdriver. So if we hold the screw so that comes down, not up over the top. And same down here. Hear that shed creaking. I can see it coming through. I've got a little sound monitor and I can see it actually coming through there. Okay. So they're both on, they won't come out at all. Now this little tap down the bottom here, we'll give him a tidy up. I've cleaned it out, I've washed all down through the guts of it there. So another thing is this stuff, it doesn't lock the thread in hard because there's a slight film of Loctite there, it does let you undo it, no worries. So this here is just the water drain. Apparently this carb there's more of these in Australia than other places because of our power kerosene, I think. That's what I've been led to believe. The little water drain tap, it can go in there. That's okay. That's our spare valve. I'm going to clean this. I'm going to clean this old crankcase valve out, like sandblast it all up and tidy it up and assemble it with the new disc in there. That's why I did the two of them. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now these blokes here, I'm actually going to make a couple of new ones of those when I get an opportunity. Now, these are the two springs that were in it. Or the three springs, I should say, that were in it. I had some new springs here, so I don't know whether the new springs are too tight or not. I'll just have a bit of a test run. Look, I think that you can feel the tension coming on there, so I'm not that keen on that. That mightn't have went with that one either. We'll just try over here. Oh, where's this other one? I'll try them without a spring. I probably should put a squirt of oil on that, really. Yeah, so I've got about an inch there. Oh, that should work. I'll find the trusty oil can. We'll see. We'll see how it goes with this spring, and just, you don't want it too tight, but I just thought it was interesting to see if there'd be something that would work. Yeah, look, that'd work. That's right off, that's on. Okay, that's a good thing. They're out of a headlight on a Massey Ferguson 135. So it's good to know. All right, we'll put the old springs back in. Looks like they've been homemade a little bit anyway, but that's all right. Nothing wrong with homemade. Yep, that feels good. This feels a little tight, this one. What I may do is just loosen this off. And without the pressure on the valve, see if this one wants to centralise. That feels a bit firm. Yeah, look, I might just pop this out again. And I'm going to try the thread up this new siphon valve. You just feel the drag on that nut from the sealer. Yeah, that thread in there is quite firm. Here's an old Here's an old needle that's been all welded up and brazed up, so we'll just try that. Oh look, that works better in there. Okay. Well, so I suppose what would have been a good thing to do, and I may still do it here, is put this up as you tighten it up. And that way, if there's any lining up problems, we've probably sorted it. Look, that screw goes up in there, no worries at all. Okay. So yeah, I don't know whether this needle has a, because it was tight in this one too. I don't know if it has a tight thread in it. It may have been the water one that's not been used much. Let's have a look. Oh, that feels all right. Oh well, I don't think we get too worried about all that. It feels okay in there. So we'll put the spring on. Away we go. It's just touching the tap here, nothing major. That's right off. That's right off. We'll clean this up once more. No rubbish in there. Oh, there might be a little bit here. There we go. And we'll put the needle on here, or the spring on the needle there. Okay, that's looking good. There must have been a fitting in here. Who knows what I've done with that? Not I. Okay, I can just see a little gasket and stuff hiding down here, looking grubby. You won't ever see it, but anyway, we'll know it's there. So we've got to tidy it up. I noticed this thread went in deeper than the other one, but that's just how it is. So this should be a nice carby when we get it sorted. So if we take a gasket and if I've got those holes slightly in the wrong place, I'll get my trusty scissors . So I need to take this one out a bit, that one up a bit, and this one out a bit. All that cutting out they wanted you to do at school, and you thought this is bullshit. This one has to go up that way a bit. I'll have a pair of gaskets done once I adjust the program for the laser. Rough enough. So that sits down over the top there. Yep, that'll be okay. That sits like that now. No, look, I don't think I'll put anything on that gasket. I was tossing up whether to put a little bit of grease on it, but perhaps we won't bother. And that bloke could sit in there, and that's fine, that's how it's supposed to go. This bloke wants to sit inside there. That's okay as well, I believe, with the camera, with the sound crackling away up. Oh, it's a bloody wild old show. Okay, so this is our little valve, our little sniffer valve. Put him up in there. Yep, lovely. Then this little plate goes on the back, and I made a gasket for that, just because I could. Yeah, that spring sat that way before, you can see. Then that one in there. Yep, lovely. And we'll hold that bloke with our trusty shifting spanner. Oh shit, that fell out. That gasket fell out down the bottom. Whose idea was that? Probably doesn't really need a gasket, but anyway. There we go. So it was just a thread or so out. So we'll just do this to the same. That's our strangler valve. Now that's the same setting as it was, because it comes against this housing here, and then it comes against that housing there. So perhaps it changed a little bit with the gasket thickness, but oh, I can feel that doing me good. Yep. Okay. Now the choke screw, it was slightly bent, and we're going to leave it slightly bent. We're going to put a tad of Loctite on it so it doesn't want to come undone without us knowing. So yeah, this Loctite, it's not one of those things where just everything gets really hard. It's just works well. Like on that bung there, you can put it on there so it doesn't rattle out, but it stays sort of semi-soft, I suppose you'd say. That feels good. Okay, that's going in there nicely. The battery just went flat, so. Okay, that's looking good. Now we just need to put a little bit of Loctite on. Oh shit, just a little bit. On the gasoline drain bung. That sits up in there. So this stuff, it works like thread tape, but you don't have those little strings hanging around, and once you clean it up, you can, and the stuff sets a little bit, you can actually run around a little wire brush and it all cleans off and you have a nice clean appearance as well. But I try and scrape a bit off. If there's any extra there at the time, I try and scrape him off. But look, I think that'll do us for the carb. We've got the gasket, like I said, we do have the gasket that I made with no holes in it. That's going to sit there with a bit of Permatex or something like that, just to, even a bit of grease would do, I suppose, just to keep the water away from everything. Okay, we might go and pop that back on.